y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, and today we're here in my super messy office that I should be cleaning, but instead I'm filming because procrastination. But I thought, it'd be fun because I kept track of it this last year. I thought it would be a great idea to go through and do a little bit of an author audit, if you will. So last year I kept track of authors that were new to me, whether they were debut or just new to me in general. And I had 61 new to me authors last year. Considering that I read 100 and something books, and half of them were just new to me authors, what was I even reading? I was just reading a bunch of new shit. Clearly not carrying on with any kind of series, just starting a whole bunch of things. That's not what we're here to talk about today, because if we start talking about my series, man, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. But I have 61 new to me authors, so I thought about maybe we should talk about who I plan to carry with me in the coming years. Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe years to come. Let's just get into it and talk about the authors that are coming with me in 2024. Now, when I say that they were new to me authors, there is a chance that I read multiple books by these authors last year, but the first book I read from them in 2024 was definitely new. One such author, for example, would be like Libba Bray. I read the Diviner series and I loved it hands down, but she was new to me last year. I finished the entire series, and she's gonna come with me. She's coming with me. I had such a good time, and I didn't love the ending of this series. I felt like it could have been written a little differently, but I would be willing to see what other stuff she writes. Also coming with me in 2024 and beyond, Tia Williams. I really liked 7 Days in June. I don't consider it a romance. Some other people consider it a romance, but that's potato. But I did enjoy her writing. I enjoyed the story overall, the characters, and so I actually want to explore more of her. I have a vlog. You'll either have seen it already. If you have, I will link it. If not, it's on its way. But I have done a Tia Williams vlog where I am going through some of her work. So she's coming with me. Johnny Compton wrote The Spite House, and it was a fun horror time. It didn't give me everything that I wanted from a horror. It didn't quite give me the Good House vibes that I was looking for, but it was very close. And so I would definitely give Johnny Compton another try. Ben Philippe wrote Charming as a Verb, and while I didn't necessarily love it, and I think that had more to do because I listened to it on audio and the narrator and who the character was actually just didn't match for me, but I did like the story overall. Another thing that I would say kind of makes me hesitant about carrying over Ben Philippe is that it was a YA contemporary. YA is a weird age group for me. It's hit or miss, and it's not made for me. I am well past those years, but sometimes I enjoy a YA, but we shall see. Then I have Daa Fila, which she wrote The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, and that was a compilation of short stories about Black women's experiences in the church, and it was phenomenal. If she ever wrote anything ever again, I would definitely pick it up for sure. In that same vein, I have Cecil Bowen, who wrote Bad Fat Black Girl. So good. I actually read this twice. I read it at the beginning of the year and it didn't quite, I remember it being something that stuck with me, but I couldn't remember a whole lot of anything. And so then I reread it again at the end of the year or closer to the end of the year. And I just fell in love with it again and had so many thoughts. It really resonated with me about a lot of things that go on in my life, in the life of my friends, in the lives of other Black women I know. And so definitely Cecil Bowen, definitely reading that. Then I read from Ernest Gains, who wrote the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, which is a Black classic. And I had not heard of Ernest Gains prior to last year. Shout out to Bree, who talked about it. I think she read it for one of her Black Classics book club. And I really enjoyed it. And considering that classics just in general are very hit or miss for me. This one was very compelling. I love this story, and I would definitely be reading more from Ernest Gains. I'm going to keep saying I would definitely read more because these are all people I'm definitely going to be reading more from. So we're not going to keep a counter because terrible. We're not going to take a shot every time I say it because you would be blacked out by the end of this video. I read Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo, and I don't know if they have another series outside of Spy Family, but if they do, I would definitely read it because I love Spy Family. I'm only on volume 4, but love it. Anya, she's a precious little girl. A precious little telepath, and nothing better ever happened to her. Thank you. Next on this list is Sara El Arifi. I did not enjoy The Final Strife. And I know that this sounds weird because you're just like, these are all people that you really enjoyed and loved books. Yes, I did enjoy The Final Strife, and I gave it the old college try. But I didn't hate it to the point where I would never try anything from her ever again. I would definitely give her another shot just to see if she is for me. It may be that it was in the time that I read it. It could have been that I just wasn't connecting with those particular characters and plot, but I would connect to something else. So I'm going to give her another shot. I think she has Feybound coming out. I am being bullied into reading it, and so I will be giving her another chance, even if I wasn't ready for it. Now, back to people that I was ready for. We're gonna go with Kate Moore. She wrote Radium Girls, and that was one of my top books of 2023. I talk about it here, and it was a great time. Not for the people that this happened to, the girls that got radium poisoning from, you know, licking paintbrushes that had radium on them for a watch. So not a great time for them, but fantastic, riveting time for me. I just think it was, considering that it was a nonfiction book and it ended up on my best of 2023, I think that's saying a lot. Not that nonfiction isn't great, because sometimes it really, really hits, but it was just very compelling. And if she writes like that in her other works, I can only imagine how much of a good time I would have with her other stuff. On to someone else that I had a very good time with, and that was Emily Henry. I read Beach Read. Now, I want to say, when I picked up Beach Read, I did not think that I was going to like this. I'm going to be 1000% honest. I went in with kind of low expectations. Also, people said that I would either like Beach Read or I would like one of her other books. I can't remember what the other book was, but I would like one of them better than the other. And so I went in very apprehensively, but I really enjoyed it. The romance kind of took a backseat for me compared to everything else that was happening in the book. And I know that I probably should have been there for the romance. But I mean, it was cute. It was. I liked January and Henry. Nope, that's her last name. Ben. Fred. I don't know that man's name. It's not important, but I mean, I enjoyed seeing what she was going through. And I also have to say that there's something about grief in books that really just like resonates with me. And I don't know why, but seeing both people kind of go through grief, and one in a traditional sense where somebody is grieving a father and trying to reconcile who they thought that person was and isn't, and also grieving like just the loss of a relationship on another hand. Like, you think you have these plans for life and then it just doesn't turn out the way you want it, and that's a type of grief, like just grieving the things that you thought would happen and come to fruition and didn't. And seeing that in this book play out, I enjoyed. And so I will be giving Emily Henry another shot for sure. She has a book coming out in 2024, so I will definitely be getting to that hopefully in 2024. Maybe, we'll see. Also, I did get gifted like 2 books from her for Christmas, so I think I've got some Emily Henry to get through. Next is Genevieve Cogman. I read The Invisible Library. That's the first book in the Invisible Library series. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this, but man, did I have a good time. We had skin suits, we had like electronic crocodiles, and I said, what the fuck is this? It was a good time. And so I'm definitely going to be continuing on with the series. I don't know if Genevieve Cogman has written anything else outside of the series, but I'm willing to give that a chance. I'm definitely just going to continue on with the series though, for sure. On this list, Zora Neale Hurston. I had never read Zora Neale Hurston. I read Their Eyes Were Watching God. And I don't know what I was doing in high school when I was supposed to be reading it, when everybody else was supposed to be reading it, but I didn't do it. And so here we are in 2023. When I read it, I would be interested in reading more from Zora Neale Hurston, especially because she is known for being a Black classic writer, and I just want to delve more into Black classics this year and beyond. So definitely going to give that a shot. Now, this one. St. Abbey. I read the entire Mindfuck series, starting with The Risk. I didn't know where I was going on this ride, but it was a good ride. I had so much fun from the beginning to the end of that series. It took me on a roller coaster. And then I was reading this with Ray, and we found out that St. Abbey also writes as, I think, C.M. Burns and something else. St. Abbey is no longer living, but the backlist, we're going to be reading for years. Years. I cannot wait. If her other stuff is anything like the Mindfuck series, I'm gonna be in heaven. Just gonna have a good old time. Man, nothing has Robin written on it more than female rage and revenge. I don't know, something about it it's written for me. And I don't know what that says about me, because I'm not an angry person. I'm not filled with rage. I don't typically just go and get revenge on people, but whatever. Then I started reading Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Bankor, and I know that this is a series, but I also know that he has written other books outside of the series. Can y'all hear that? My neighbor's got like a saw or something out there. I don't know. I don't know what's happening over there. That's none of my business. Hopefully it's not too loud, because we only have a few more to get through and then we're out of here. But I will definitely be reading more from Ashok K. Bankor. And then Hadir Elsbey, I think that this was a debut novel, The Daughters of Ddar. I enjoyed that enough where I want to continue the series, and enough where I would be interested if she wrote something different outside of The Daughters of Ddar. Another book that ended up on my favorites of 2023 was Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, and what a good time. That was one of the weirdest things I have read in a minute, and I don't even know where to begin. But just know, whatever she writes next, it's mine. I'm getting it. It's gonna be in these little hands, and we're just gonna be flipping the pages, because I want to see what other weird shit she can just come out with. Unless it's not weird. And then I would be interested to see what other writing styles she has. What other genres are we working with here? I read Scorpio by J.R. McAllister. Loved Scorpio. Did not quite love Arca, which is the second book in that series. I think there's only 2 books in the series of the 5 queendoms. But this doesn't deter me, because Scorpio was just so good that maybe Arca was she was unsure of herself and pulled back a little. I could have used a little bit more of what was happening in Scorpio and Arca. I actually DNF'd Arca, but I feel like I have enough of an understanding to go into the 3rd book without having had to finish the 2nd book. So I'm going to read the 3rd book. And if she writes anything outside of the 5 Queendoms series, I will pick that up just to give it a shot. Then I read The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I really, really liked this. You know, going through space and time, dual timelines with women facing similar frustrations with husbands and men. I felt like I really connected with the characters. I felt like I was immersed in both timelines. And so I would give Sarah Penner another try. Sarah Gailey. I read Eat the Rich, which is a graphic novel that she did. It was short, it was sweet, and I know it's not like some of her other more popular works, but I would be willing to give her other works a try to see if they match the same type of intensity that I got from Eat the Rich. Oh, Aia Atakora wrote Conjure Woman. I read that for Blackoween. No, I didn't. I read that for when Bree chose my TBR. But Bree is also the creator of Blackoween, so I mean, both great things. Conjure Women, I loved the story of the mother and daughter, the different generations, and people's reactions to both generations, and how magic work was considered acceptable in an older generation, but when we get to the younger generation, they're like, we rebuke this in the name of Jesus, because they have found Jesus and they have embraced Christianity, and so they're just like, witchcraft, not here. I just think that the story between the two of them was well written. I think it was just beautifully written, and it made me want to read more from her immediately, and I didn't. So we're gonna work on that. Then I read M.R. Carey, The Girl with All the Gifts. And I read that for a zombie vlog. And I don't know whether it was the zombie topic that made me want to read more from M.R. Carey or the actual writing itself. Unclear. But I would read more from M.R. Carey just to like figure that out for myself, to see if I really like her work or if it was just the zombie aspect. Brandon Massey wrote Nana. That was wild. It was wild. And when I say wild, I mean that with every fiber of my being. I will say I didn't enjoy the ending, so it wasn't like a 5-star read for me or anything. If Brandon Massey takes me on a ride like that every time, I will read everything, because what do you mean? Why'd that lady have the tongue? And if you know, you know about the tongue. And if you don't know, read the book so that you can know about the tongue. I read Riot Baby by Toshi Anchi, and I had a good enough time where I would be interested in reading more from him. I was drawn in, and considering that he's Black, he writes science fiction, I am trying to get into science fiction. Definitely going to try to get some more of his stuff. Then I read The Plot is Murder by V.M. Burns. One of the few cozy mysteries that I have decided I will continue. Cozy mysteries are very, very hit or miss for me. And I don't know if it's because I have to suspend all kinds of belief, because I, as an avid Lifetime movie watcher, knows like, these are rookie mistakes that you're making. Come on, let's use some gloves. Let's not just research the murder so that it's not on your computer. Like, come on. Anyone who's into true crime knows these things. And so when I'm reading cozy mysteries, I'm just like, come on. Come on. But The Plot is Murder, it was cute enough and didn't annoy me too much. Also, there's like a set of grannies in there that I love, and I would read more just for them. I read The Personal Librarian by duo Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. They actually have another book called First Wives that I might own. Unclear. I don't know. I feel like I own it, but I don't know. But I liked their storytelling, and the fact that they could write it so that it was seamlessly and felt like one voice has intrigued me. So I will try to read more from them. I don't know if they've written things separately, and I would be interested to know that. My last two are Lakewood by Megan Giddings, also in my best of 2023, because that book gave me some of the weirdest nightmares I've ever had. I didn't even know if they were nightmares. Definitely the weirdest dreams. I was immersed in the book. The book was me. I was the book. And just seeing her be able to write this medical horror, I would love to see how she does horror in other aspects. It was just so weird. The writing's so good. It made you feel like you were there, that you were also on this trip along with the people in the book. Was it real? Was it not? I don't know. Will I ever know? Maybe. And then last but not least, I have Kennedy Ryan. I read Before I Let Go. I was buddy reading this with Jess and Ray, and I will say I did not love it. But that being said, I would like to give Kennedy Ryan another try because I didn't hate it. I just don't think that this was the book that I needed to be introduced to Kennedy Ryan from. And that's where I'll go with that. That being said, those are all of the authors I have said yes to. This is 26 minutes at this moment. And so I'm not going to force the other authors on you that I would maybe read or definitely not read. But if you are interested in knowing who those authors are, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'll make another video. But also, if there are any books from any of these authors that I've mentioned and you're just like, you need to read it, let me know in the comments so that I can add it to my ever-growing TBR, and maybe I will get to it, considering that I do want to read more from these authors. And if I know that you guys think they're good, I'm probably going to prioritize them. So let me know. Let's talk about these down below. Are there any authors from last year that you're like, I need to read more from? Let me know. Maybe they'll become new favorite authors for me as well. And that's all I've got for you guys today. And until next time, bye.